Most cat owners will never hear this, but your cat might be slowly disconnecting from you, and you wouldn't even notice until it's already happened. Because cats don't scream, they don't argue, they don't confront, they withdraw. Quietly, subtly. And sometimes what looks like normal behaviour is actually your cat telling you something is broken between you. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. The signs are already happening in your home right now. You just haven't been trained to see them. Most people believe that if a cat isn't aggressive, everything is fine. That silence means comfort. That independence means happiness. But that's not what's really happening. Cats communicate in ways that feel almost invisible unless you understand their psychology. And one of the deepest ways they reveal their emotions is through how they look at you, or how they stop looking at you entirely. Let's start with something most people completely misunderstand. 1. The stare that never softens. Have you ever caught your cat staring at you without blinking, eyes wide, pupils slightly dilated, body still? Most owners think it's curiosity, maybe even affection. But in feline language, an unbroken stare is not warmth, it's tension. In the wild, predators lock their gaze before action. Prey freezes when they feel watched. So when your cat stares at you without ever softening their eyes, without that slow blink, they're not relaxing into your presence. They're assessing you, measuring your unpredictability. It means they haven't fully categorized you as safe. And here's the part most people miss. A bonded cat will always break that stare. They'll soften, blink slowly, look away. Because in their world, breaking eye contact is how you say, I trust you enough to be vulnerable. If that never happens, the connection isn't complete, but it goes deeper than just staring. 2. When the slow blink disappears. You've probably heard that a cat's slow blink is like a kiss. And that's true, but not in the way people think. It's not just affection. It's a neurological signal of safety. When a cat slowly closes their eyes in your presence, even for a second, they are shutting off their visual awareness. That's a huge risk for an animal wired to detect threats instantly. So when your cat stops slow blinking at you, or never does it at all, it's not random. It means they're keeping their guard up. Their nervous system doesn't trust the environment enough to relax. And this is where many owners unknowingly break the bond. They stare back intensely. They approach too quickly. They miss the moment the cat offered softness. And over time, the cat simply stops offering it. They tried. It didn't feel safe. So, they adapted. And if this is starting to click for you, if you're beginning to see your cat differently, hit like and subscribe, because understanding this changes everything about your relationship. Now here's where it gets even more subtle. 3. The half-closed eyes that aren't for you. Sometimes your cat will sit near you with their eyes partially closed. It looks peaceful, relaxed, almost sleepy. Most people assume this is trust. But watch closely. Are those eyes directed at you, or just vaguely in your direction? Because a true trust stare is intentional. It's directed, it's shared. But when a cat avoids direct soft eye contact and instead keeps you in their peripheral vision, it means they're resting, but still monitoring. It's a halfway state. Not fear, but not full connection either. Almost like they're saying, I'm okay being near you, but I'm not fully letting go. And this is often where relationships plateau. The cat isn't distressed, but they're not bonded either. And then there's a behaviour that confuses almost everyone. 4. The flinch you didn't notice. You reach out to pet your cat, and for just a split second their body tenses. Maybe their head pulls back slightly. Maybe their pupils widen just before contact. It's so quick you almost ignore it. But that moment is everything. Because in that instant, your cat is deciding whether your touch is safe or invasive. Cats rely heavily on what's called a scent handshake. They need to investigate you before contact. When that step is skipped repeatedly, your touch becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability creates stress. Over time, the cat doesn't relax into your hand, they brace for it. And once that pattern sets in, something shifts internally. They stop seeking contact. They tolerate it or avoid it. But they no longer trust it. And what's scary is, most owners think this is just personality. It's not. It's learned emotional distance. And we're only halfway through the signs. Because what your cat does at night might reveal even more than what they do during the day. Now here's where it gets unsettling, because when your house goes quiet, when the lights are off, when you think your cat is finally at peace, that's when their most honest behaviour begins to show. 5. The night stare you weren't supposed to notice. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and found your cat just watching you? Completely still, eyes wide, pupils expanded in the dark. It feels eerie, almost unnatural. Most people laugh it off. Cats are just weird. But this behaviour has deep roots in predator psychology. At night, your cat's instincts are at their peak. Their senses sharpen, their awareness heightens. And when they lock their gaze onto you in that state, they're not just observing, they're analysing. Your breathing, your movement, your vulnerability. Now here's the important distinction. If your cat feels deeply bonded to you, that nighttime observation softens quickly. They relax, they settle beside you. But if that stare lingers, if it feels intense, almost distant, it can mean your cat hasn't fully relaxed even in your most vulnerable shared space. They're present, but not emotionally anchored to you. And this connects to something even more instinctive. 6. When you become part of their predator focus. During play, have you ever noticed your cat suddenly shift from playful to intensely focused, staring at your hands, your feet, your movements like prey? That's normal to a degree. Cats are hunters, but bonded cats show restraint. They differentiate between play and connection. When that line starts to blur, when your cat frequently targets you with that same predatory intensity, pupils dilated, body low, movements calculated, it suggests something deeper. It means you haven't fully been categorized as safe social partner, but sometimes as part of the environment to react to. This doesn't mean your cat hates you. Cats don't process emotion that way. But it does mean the relationship lacks clarity. Trust hasn't fully overridden instinct. And when instinct takes over, connection fades into the background. Here's where it gets even more emotional. 7. The silence that replaces connection. One of the biggest misconceptions about cats is that quiet equals contentment. But in reality, silence can be the loudest signal of all. A cat that once greeted you, watched you, engaged with you, and slowly stops is not becoming independent. They're withdrawing, emotionally, behaviourally, neurologically. Cats who feel unheard, overstimulated, or consistently misunderstood don't escalate. They don't demand. They adapt by lowering their expectations. They stop offering signals that were ignored. They stop initiating interactions that felt unsafe. And eventually, they exist around you, but not with you. This is what many behaviorists refer to as a fractured bond. Not broken in a dramatic way, but quietly weakened over time. And the most dangerous part? It feels normal. It feels like this is just how my cat is. But often, it wasn't always that way. Now remember what we mentioned at the beginning about behaviours changing? Because this is the part most owners wish they understood sooner. If your cat suddenly stops looking at you the way they used to, stops blinking, stops watching, stops engaging, don't ignore it. Cats are creatures of pattern. When those patterns disappear, something has shifted. Sometimes it's physical, pain, illness, discomfort. Cats instinctively hide vulnerability, and withdrawing is their way of protecting themselves. Other times, it's environmental. A change in routine, a new presence, a disruption in their sense of control. But often, it's relational. Something in your interactions taught them that distance feels safer than connection. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Rebuilding that trust takes time. Consistency. Awareness. You have to start speaking their language again, slowing down your movements, offering your hand before touching, softening your gaze, respecting their space. Because your cat never stopped communicating with you, they just stopped believing you were listening. And once you see these signals for what they really are, you can't unsee them. The way they look at you, or don't. The way they respond, or don't. It all means something. Because to your cat, love isn't loud. It isn't obvious. It's built in the smallest moments of safety, and lost in the moments you didn't even realize mattered.